give you guys a minute to join us, catch up here. Make sure all of our stuff is in order. I think that ought to do it. All right. You guys all ready out there? November 5th, 2019. Welcome to Cartoonist Kayfabe, 1 year anniversary show. My name is Jim Rugg. Ed.
Yeah, just let me know when we're starting.
We're live, buddy.
Oh, shit. I'm Ed Piscor, and this is...
You already missed that part.
Oh, fuck, man.
This is Ed Piscor, and he is jet lagged. Fresh off the plane from Tokyo, Japan. Welcome back, Ed.
Thanks, man. Dude, I missed you, buddy.
Me too. It is great to see you. It is great to be back here. And it's 1 year. 1 year.
Thanks for holding shit down while we were missing. Let me just adjust this table a touch, man, to make it look a little bit more level. It is 2:41 p.m. here in Pittsburgh. I landed at 7 p.m. yesterday, man. So it's a statement. Hasn't been 24 hours yet, man.
It is a statement. I wonder if you're actually out in front of the jet lag a little bit. Because I know whenever I came back from Tokyo, it was 2 weeks of jet lag and hardcore, man. So you may be checking out in the middle of this episode if you're anything like I was.
There is one major benefit. Like, I see why business class or first class and business class are called what they are, dude, because it is designed so that a motherfucker can get full sleep and once they land, hit that ground running. So when I went out to Japan, I got a full night's sleep on the airplane really fast. In both ways. So they present you a dinner. It's like a 5-course dinner, and the seat that you sit on, they give you, there's just a pile of shit on the seat when you get there. And one of the things is a bedroll. So you like put the bedroll on the seat, you hit this button, the seat fully goes down, and you put your feet on the second shelf so you can lay fully. And I would eat the dinner, go to sleep, just blink, and then I'll like put that little TV on and take a look at the screen. 4 hours to Japan. Oh. Yes!
I am so jealous. That was not my experience flying there or back, but good for you.
I'll never get that again, probably. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going again. I have my train card, and I have over 30,000 yen that I did not convert with the express purpose of getting my punk ass back to Tokyo, man.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I knew this was going to be a good trip. I knew you were going to enjoy this. And from what you've posted, the videos that you've made, it far surpasses whatever I was hoping, my expectations.
This is the bounty of a month's worth of Manga Quest. And Kayfabe's just ain't exactly getting to see it all. Because, like, you know, you move this shit, and then there's books back there. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, we have a phalanx. We have a retaining wall. We built a levee between us and them.
And I have a little bit of their point of view too, because I haven't seen most of this stuff. But hopefully we'll be getting in it in upcoming show and tells, slowly work our way through a lot of it. Like I said, I enjoyed, you know, the bits and pieces that you posted and shared. It just makes me hungry to get deeper into this.
So Kayfabers, man, it is our 1st year anniversary. And we're gonna talk. Me and Jimmy haven't seen each other for a month. It's the first time we're really chatting for the first time in a month. And before that, we were hanging out every week, man. So I feel like there's so much to get into. And we got to call out the super chatters who are pledging this money like so fast up front. But we should actually do our thing as we would a normal weekly, and then get back to the call outs and like hit up and give the shouts out to the Kayfabers. So let me just grab a pen and some paper so that I could take the names down, man. so that we...
I hope this works.
No, it'll work.
The alternative would be to run these names, at some future time, which we've done. The super chatters, of course, have given us support as we've done live streams, everything from flipping through comics and doing kind of live show and tells to the drawing videos that we've done. And hopefully those will be getting back up and running in greater frequency now that you've returned. I am still working on something that hasn't been announced, so I don't know about my drawing videos. It'll be a little bit of a handicap conversation in some ways because I'm a little limited in what I'm going to be able to get into. But
for now. But once you can announce it, the levee breaks.
Yes, yeah. There's all kinds of secret stuff back here coming soon. But I do have stuff I can talk about for sure. So
it's been a year, Jimmy. We were at Baltimore Comic-Con last September, and I was selling you on my idea on the way out there. I've been at that time I was really looking for something to keep me occupied while I was drawing. I needed some podcasts. I needed something to keep my energy up, and I came across these retro gaming websites that one in particular, Classic Gaming Quarterly. Shouts to that dude who, underneath the microscope, put issues of Nintendo Power, Game Pro, and other things. And 20 paces away from me, I have a extremely heavy long box of Wizard magazines. The thought was, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to do what this guy's doing with Wizard magazine. I have them all. They're collecting dust. I think that other people will kind of get the same jolts that I get from the thing. So part of my secret plan with Baltimore was to sell you on the idea, man, to join me on the freaking journey that became Cartoonist Kayfabe.
And I can pick up a little bit of that because I was on board before we got to Baltimore. This was not a weekend-long convincing that had to be done. Once I hit the floor at Baltimore, Wizard magazines are what I started scooping up in preparation for this.
Jimmy's a no-seller, so he left me guessing until the end.
Until I kept returning to the table with my piles of Wizard magazines.
It started to seem like it was becoming more real as the weekend went by, man. We were talking more and more about the shit.
Yeah, it definitely made total sense, and it's been fun over this last year. We're approaching wrapping up year 3 of Wizard coverage. Obviously, people that follow the channel, Wizard is one piece of what we've been doing here. But with that in mind, we've done almost 3 years of Wizard up to this point, and it's always fun seeing the comments of people who are pointing out their first issue.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see that come up because that's part of why I wanted to do this. I remember my first issue vividly. And so whenever we started talking about this, whenever we started looking at those old Wizards, it really was like, what is going on in my brain when I would look through that stuff? I think I read some of those Wizards more than I would read the comic books at the time.
I think I'm comfortable with that.
So it's pretty cool to see other people like that. That's one of those energy bits that come out of this that I really enjoy is whenever we hit someone's first issue and they get excited about it. And they start talking about the pieces they remember from that issue.
It feels like the announcements of people saying that this is their, the newest issues is their first. It's becoming more frequent with the later issues that we're covering, man. So I think it's going to keep accelerating for quite a ways, man. It's still years away from their second successful magazine, and they wouldn't make a second one if the first one wasn't super gigantic. So I think it still is on the rise in terms of popularity. And my first issue is 37.
Right. That's what's exciting to me because we are actually getting to a point around year 3 where I'm bowing out as a reader initially. And it's funny going back through here how short my window was. I felt like I read Wizard for like my whole childhood.
Yeah.
It was like 2 years really was my sweet spot. So it'll be fun as I start to wean off of the issues I remember and start to see you come on to the issues that would have been like your founding issues. Thinking about doing this and talking kind of about the first year, one thing I wanted to put out there for people that are watching this now, either live or later on in the comments, let us know how you found the show. If a friend referred you or if an issue or a topic or whatever crossed your radar, let us know that in the comments or in the chat here, because I'm curious about that. I'm curious about how do we keep reaching new audience and keep growing this. And I mean, certainly word of mouth is one of them. So let us know, when you came on board to the channel and what brought you here and what you want to see more of.
My mic sounds fudgy because it's rubbing my shirt. Thank you. Much appreciated for sure.
Something to continue evolving in year 2 is our technical capabilities.
I know, right? Like I just watched the thing you did with previews, and how you said our first hurdle was just like learning how to make a video.
Yes. Yeah, it's been an interesting piece this year. Man, I didn't think very far ahead. When we started this, it was totally just technical. Like, how do you actually literally shoot this? It was never thinking like, oh, we're gonna have 10,000 followers this year.
Yeah,
which is awesome, but not where my head was. It was really like, what are we talking about?
It's really good, man, because we offset each other and create an equilibrium. Because I wanted more. That's me.
I want more.
But you didn't expect it, and I wanted far more. So it's like we have the medium or whatever, the average, the base average, and that's how the channel. Like my kind of friendship with you, one of the things that I've always looked up to you and Jason and Tom for is not only are you guys everybody's an idea man. Everybody has good ideas.
They're a dime a dozen.
Dime a dozen, man. You guys come up with fucking ideas and execute. And that mentality was instilled in me at a very young age, very formative age. The 21 is formative still. I was kicking it with you that long ago. And you guys coming up with these ideas and executing. So when we did Baltimore Comic-Con, that's like the 25th, 26th. It was like the last weekend in September. We get home and basically start researching immediately. We get the first cameras in 1 week. We get a microphone the next. And when we get the microphone, then it's like on and popping. It's time to start making videos. So it was like 2.5 weeks back home. We made the Wizard 1 video, but we made this, what I would consider to be the very smart decision not to just put those things live so that we could keep consistency and we could keep a new video every week. That was the plan. Like let's have one new video every week. We've exceeded that. And we were so stoked on that first video that we shot Wizard 2 and 3 at the same time the next week, and Wizard 4 and 5 the next week after that, just so that we can release video number 1 on November 5th of 2018.
Yeah, it was pretty ambitious there in the beginning. Doing multiple issues of Wizard in a week is a lot of prep.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning whenever you're sort of nervous and new to this and digging comics out of piles and trying to make all of this work. That was kind of a wild beginning for sure. But it did seem to connect right away. Once we did start posting them, that was such a kind of a buoy of the spirits. It seemed like people understood exactly what we were doing in the plan and connected to it right away. So it was up and running pretty fast. Yeah. Probably the live video a month after Baltimore, the first one goes live, somewhere around that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, and we released some trailers ahead of time, and some people didn't understand the mentality, and they're just like, "Why are you doing this? What is this for?" And you dumb fuckers. By the time we released that first video, we had like 1,500 people subscribed and on the books. That's why we did it.
Yeah.
Dummy.
Yeah. Although I will say there are some people that probably still don't understand why we're doing it. I don't know if my wife is watching right now or not. But
specifically talk about the trailers. That's what I was speaking on, man.
Ed, you said something good there that you're still formative at age 21.
Yeah. Look at that Drew Friedman shirt. Looks good on Mike.
We're still formative, right?
I mean,
like, think about that Tokyo trip to bring it up to speed. Like, one of the things that I was excited to come back and talk to you about is takeaways from that in terms of like, how does that change you as a cartoonist? And not to put you on the spot right now. I mean, it may be over the course of the next year that you start to see how that actually works. But that's been a big part of making these videos is like finding artists that I don't know, like stuff that you'll recommend or somebody in the community recommends, and just like seeing these different perspectives. Like part of this is, for me, it's still like comic school.
Comics
for me.
Constant education, and I think it's palpable with our own energy transfers and it reaches out to the audience. There's shit that we don't know. And the Kayfabe crew, man, the 235 people in this chat room right now, we're going to stumble on something as we go in this conversation, and they're going to pick it up and answer it with a quickness.
Yeah, I've asked a lot of questions over the last year, and I don't think any of them have gone unanswered, which is amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing that has just kind of like manifested, and it's not going to stop. I have no intentions of quitting this thing. I don't know how your plans for the future with Kayfabe, but my thoughts and philosophy is the McFarlane Image philosophy, where there will always be a Cartoonist Kayfabe. Like, even if it's like I'm a crusty old dude and I have to like fucking do 100%, like it's like there will be a Cartoonist Kayfabe. I see the value in it. It's really fun, and it's not like we're going to forget all of the lessons we learned in terms of putting this kind of thing together from the last year. It's only going to increase, get better production values, all that stuff.
Yeah, and whenever we do get bored in one direction, it's like it's our fault if we can't figure out how to entertain ourselves with other things.
Look at all those books, man.
Well, and I mean, we started interviewing people.
Oh, yeah.
We've gotten some portable equipment now. I mean, I hope in year 2 to visit some people's studios and just kind of continue this dive through comics. That's another piece of the Japanese trip where it's like, in my mind, the activity and energy around comics, it's almost like I used to think it was this big, and then I started digging and I found out it was bigger. And now it's like kind of infinite in any direction. It just feels like whatever, if you're bored of going one direction, just turn around.
Right.
Go left, go right.
That was sort of one of the reasons why we had to put this thing together, because the comics chatter that does exist in YouTube and like, the online space, it's promo cutting. It's I don't need another list of like Rob Liefeld clickbait videos. Right. I need substance. Like, I'm in the game and I want something of value. And we're of the persuasion of if it doesn't exist, if you don't have it, then you have to just make it. You have to be the one to make it. And if we make something good, we make something successful, there's going to be people who are going to piggyback. And you know what? Maybe I get to sit down and draw and watch your YouTube video.
Yeah, I say good to that.
I do too.
I've seen quite a few videos people send me of all kinds of comics related stuff, interviews with creators I like, books that I haven't heard of and now want. It's great. Like, yeah, man, make this stuff. It's comics love. It is what I found the first time I went into a decent comic book store, and it was like, oh man, I've never heard of this, but it looks cool. What do they know about it? It's that on like a huge scale. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. And
make what you want.
Exactly. Like it's always been the mentality, man. If this thing doesn't exist, then you just have to make it, even if it's a bootleg. Even if it's a bootleg Rambo comic, man, to explain that transitional sequence between 3 and 4.
You're welcome, Sly. keep that franchise strong. Ed, the making thing is great because that's another unanticipated consequence of this channel.
Yeah.
I get messages from people. We get comics from people. We have boxes of mail to unpack, by the way, in your absence. So that'll be coming up soon. But we hear from so many people that are making comics, from people who drifted away and have come back to people who are making their first comic. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah,
I did not
sure.
expect that, and I love it.
And just, we'll uncover things in the 25-cent bins, and that's no pejorative. There are like sensitive motherfuckers out there who like, my thing was in the 25-cent bin. We're not talking about them. And we rescue these things, and there are dudes, it's not like they're just Google searching 25-cent bins. They're part of the Kayfabe community naturally, and they'll come out and be like, oh yeah, I made that. And it's like, what? Yeah. Tell me everything about the situation that made this comic happen, please. That's happened far more than once.
Yes, and with some really good finds.
Yeah.
Like, some of those guys have then hooked us up with complete runs or filled in gaps. It's that part has been amazing, and it's great to give those guys credit. It's really, it can be discouraging. Like, I'll find a comic in a 25-cent bin and be like, this is awesome. Google it to find more, and there is no more. It's like a one and done. And then when you hear from that person and find out, oh, there are a couple more, or they're finally getting some extra attention, it's awesome. Like, there's no shelf life on this stuff.
We obviously, Japan is going to come up in conversation, we'll hold off on that for a minute because we have plenty of other things to talk about before then, and I think it's going to get long-winded in that direction.
We'll see who the troopers are 3 hours into this.
But 5 Kayfabers called me out on the streets of Tokyo across the fucking world. That's while rad. I was out there in 28 or 29 days. A guy from, the last dude was from Austria.
Wow.
Before that, New Zealand. Before that, Australia. Some Russians tracked me down at a book off in Wayno.
That scares me a little bit.
Yeah. And they had X-Men, the Russian X-Men comics for me to sign.
Pretty cool.
And a dude from Texas. So it's like 4 countries and Texas. And it was all the same thing, and I was always with people too, man. I was with my homegirl Mariko, man, and we were like getting desserts and stuff. And some dude's like, "Are you at Piscor?" And I looked so cool in that moment. And my homeboy HB came out to hang out that last week, man. You guys see that Tetsuo picture I took of him, man? I had the Kaneda jacket, he had the Tetsuo gear, and we were running around Shibuya. And honest to goodness, dude, I saw more people, more humanity in one place than I ever have in my entire life. And I was able to snap that picture of them in just a split second of there not being people in the shot, because it was constant meat, so much meat behind me, and just people walking, and it was like I was just shooting because it was too good. And I was just like, if these motherfuckers just go away for 1 second, it's going to look like Tetsuo versus the police with this beautiful Neo Tokyo backdrop. And there was a building, if you look on the top right, it says Neo Shibuya on this building. And it's just like, come on. And I'm shooting like a combat photographer, man, just shooting. And then it's like, when I got the shot, I'm like, this is going up on Twitter, man. And it was the most popular tweet I ever put out, man. Over 1 million people saw it overnight. And Mr. Otomo, what's up, man? Say hi to your boy next time I come to Japan. Let's go get some tea. We'll be off that for a minute, man. You guys did a signing. You had Street Angel, Deadliest Girl Alive came out, and so did Fantastic Four Grand Design. And I know you guys did a signing at Phantom of the Attic.
Yeah, thanks to Phantom for hosting that. That was really cool. Fun to hang out with Tom at a signing with new books out.
It's been a minute since you guys did a signing together, I feel like.
It's been a while since I've seen Tom. Between your travels and whatnot, it's been a little bit. So it was great to see him and to see the book. Good reception at Phantom. Also, thanks to Four Color Fantasies, I had done a signing there the weekend before. So lots of support for Street Angel. I'm thrilled by it. Ed, I actually brought you a copy.
Oh, my
fresh out of the box.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's real. It's
I'm
legit.
Thrilled with it. I actually got an email this morning from Eric Stevenson, Images publisher. Very happy with how it turned out, and said that he's getting good feedback from retailers. So thanks to everybody that's helping spread the word. I see lots of pictures of it on social media. I asked you all to do that, to share what stores you were finding the book. Also see a lot of stores selling out of it. So if you're a retailer and you have sold them, please reorder them. They have not sold out at the publisher level yet, so please reorder them if they're going through your store well. I think it's a good book for the upcoming gift season. It's a great entry point to Street Angel. So keep that in mind, man. Try to stock those shelves for the holiday season.
We have a good smattering of other professionals in the game who are in the kayfabe audience, man. And this book right here is destined for the Eisner Awards this coming year. Now, there's a lot of jobbers out there who are just automatically going to be voting for Tom King books because they want to work with him and get those Tom King royalties. But if we're being honest, this is the package to get. This is the package to vote for, man. The love, care, and craft put into the design of this book is fucking second to none, man.
Well, I can't argue with that logic, Ed. But I will say it's out in bookstores now. There's a delay between comic book shops and bookstores. This week it's out in bookstores, so available everywhere. Wherever you buy books, comic book stores, bookstores, online, libraries, get it there, request it there, let them know you want this. Let's fill the shelves with these things.
It's always interesting how that part happens too, because it's never a guarantee that it's going to go one way or the other. The bookstore gets it first, or the comic shop gets it first. It's always, it's just up in the air. It's left to the fates. I have no idea how that stuff happens.
Yeah, I don't think it's standardized at all.
It's not.
I hear different reports for different books.
Yeah, every one of my books, it was almost ping pong, like
Yeah.
like 50%.
Yeah, you get a little behind the scenes peek there at maybe things we could do better in terms of distribution, but it's beside the point a little.
I got so much mail when I was gone, man, and one of the things I got was my comps for
That looks nice on camera. Look at
for
that.
my X-Men trades, dude. It's so funny because they were so prompt with it with the first 2 books. But after I finished, man, it's almost like that Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately, man? They were like a little slow on the trigger sending me those comps, man. That book has been out for quite a minute. But I grabbed you a couple things, man, from Japan, dude.
Oh, wow. This is so exciting.
Boom.
Man.
New Atomo.
Wow. Sweet.
Yeah, show that stuff off while I can, man.
I can't wait to tear into that. This is how you're going to end this video, Ed, is by distracting me with this stuff a little bit too much. That's awesome. And, you know, we're going to get into this in future show and tells, but this is wild. If you can see that on camera, it's saddle stitch.
Yeah, imagine
this thing
a
is
staple
like
going in there.
400 pages or something of saddle stitching. I love it. It's definitely the thickest saddle stitch book I own, and I can't wait to tear into this.
I don't want to give...
Amazing.
I don't want to give any kind of, like, airplane hijacker any kind of like tips, but man, you take that staple out and straighten that, man, it's a knife.
It is long. Yeah, it's heavy duty too. That staple was not what's coming out of my streamline at home.
Yeah, that'll tear up a jugular.
Wow. Jeez, that's sweet though. That is awesome. I've seen pictures of it online. It's really cool to see it in person.
There's an issue of Shonen Jump, man, for one of the classic issues, and the hosts out there, shouts to Pun P and all of my other gracious hosts. I'll call them out by name a little bit later, but somewhere on this table is an issue of Shonen Jump that I had as a boy and lost. I moved many times like over the years, and I just like lost that issue, and I was looking through the wall of Shonen Jumps at Mandarake, Nakano Broadway, and I found it. And I was talking with Pun P, and I was like, my 2 favorite issues that I had was like that one that I just picked up out there, and I had this other one with the Super Saiyans on the cover going like this, and I found it and I showed it to him. But like a little breach in communication, because he thought I threw both of them away. But I still have mine. So he just like showed up with that.
That's so cool.
He found that out, man.
Yours is a well-worn copy. This one looks like near mint.
Yeah. But it's like I got to keep my one with the tender love and care, you know.
That's exciting. That'll be fun. I'll go through this, Ed, and we'll do a good show and tell with this.
We should, because there's one thing in here that is so perverted and crazy, and I really like got the scoop. If any of you guys know the comic called Tar-chan, and it's like play on Tarzan. There's some really crazy stuff in here for something that's shonen means boy.
Yes.
You know, and it's and also Tar-chan, who is like a Tarzan analog. This would be Tar-chan right here. He flies by pulling his nutsack and making like a flying squirrel kind of situation. So I taught all of my Japanese brethren out there. You might not even know this one, man, but if you ever heard the term bat wings, you know bat wings? Yes. Do you guys know bat wings? Like where, you know, hot sweltering day and you're sitting on a bus and you like open your legs a little bit, you feel your nutsack sticking to your inner thigh. That's how Tar-chan flies. It's true too. Like they just have different feelings about sex out there, man.
Yes, I think everywhere has different feelings about sex than the U.S.
Yeah, I guess so, man. The no pilgrims.
Some of our international viewers are watching this, being like, "Yeah,
no big deal.
Everybody knows bat wings."
So the signing. Any big takeaways?
Yeah, you know, the one thing that I've gotten, not just from signings but from reviews and online reviews, is weird is used a lot to describe this book, to describe the new Street Angel, and I love that. Like, it's the thing I most cherish in the books that I'm looking for. I want something weird. I want something different, something I haven't seen before, strange, you know? And so it's one of those things I would be hesitant to give myself that compliment.
Yeah.
But I've heard it and seen it in reviews, saw it at signings. You know, it came up at a few signings, and so that's pretty thrilling. because it's exactly what I would hope for. It is weird. It is different. You know, it's a different book than everything else in the store, or everything else a lot of these readers have come across. And I love it. Good. It's one of my favorite parts of comics in general and being a comics fan. And even the Shonen Jump, you know, flipping through, it's like, that's the stuff. It's something I haven't seen before, and it really kind of gets my brain going. So I'm glad to contribute to that.
Jim, I spaced out for a second, man. What are you working on right now? I tried, guys.
I can tell you this, I'm ready to start drawing.
Are you?
Yeah, so I've been writing and writing and writing, and would have possibly started today if I didn't come over here. So yes, I will have some drawing done before we go to Kansas City, which we're doing next week. So I'm excited. You know, it keeps moving forward. I don't know when I'll be able to actually share this stuff, but it is progressing, and that's exciting to me.
So that means some approvals have happened. And then, this is unfair, but I haven't seen my homeboy Jimmy for a month, and I just have to ask a question that can't be shown. But this many or this many? Okay.
So far, pending, so we'll see.
Yeah, great, man.
It doesn't change my plans at all.
Good. We'll just let you guys marinate on that one for a hot minute.
Well, since I mentioned Kansas City, let me bring that up to anybody in the area. We will be going to Kansas City Elite Comics next week for New Comic Book Day. Signing books, talking shop, and probably holding court in a little Cartoonist Kayfabe live episode there on the spot. So if you're in the Kansas City area, Elite Comics next Wednesday, I think it's the 13th of November, please come out, say hello, and get some signed books from us.
It is celebrating their 26th anniversary. My math is a little bit off, so it's either 1993 or 1994, and those are two very different years to be getting started in comics, man. I discovered comic shops in 1993, and I bet a million other boys did too. But shit was on the outs in 94 for sure. So like, that's going to be, I need some clarity there. Like, did you get in on like ride the wave?
It'll be fun to get into that history. And I always enjoy that perspective, like people that have been in comics that long, that is generations. Yeah. So it's a different world several times going back there, and that should be fun. And Kansas City has a long history, like art history, comics history. I expect to find some good stuff on this trip.
I'm gonna make a sacrifice to the heavens too, that it doesn't fucking snow. Like when we go to the middle of the country in fucking November. And
it's a true point.
It is a true point. I started thinking about it, and I'm like, oh fuck, we're gonna be living in Kansas City for a week.
We might be living in Chicago. We have layover in Chicago, and they have gotten some snow this year already. So fingers crossed, Kansas City, if you want to see us. Hopefully we don't run into anything there in the Midwest.
I was just in Chicago a little more than 24 hours ago.
How'd it look?
Clear as whatever. I'm fucked up. You gotta give me some.
I didn't know an analogy for the clarity.
Yeah, me neither.
There's some stuff we could say about smooth.
Yeah, I will say that it was chillier here than in Chicago, believe it or not. So hopefully we can hold that out.
It's mid-November. That could work.
But the other the cool place. Well, I mean, Elite Comics is cool, but the warmer place will be going toward the end of this month. Is going to be Heroes Aren't Hard to Find. I was about to say Heroes Con.
Yes.
Shelton Drum, proprietor of Heroes Aren't Hard to Find, created and is the Grand Poobah of Heroes Con. But that's going to be awesome. And they're really like rolling out a red carpet. Signage is being made. Postcards are being made. I almost feel like I'm going to have to prepare.
Yeah, I kind of describe Charlotte as like my home away from home. You know, we've been doing that show for so long. Everybody there is nice. And it really is like a near and dear to my heart, at least. It may not be the closest location that we visit, but definitely one of the places that I have a lot of fond memories for. And that'll be November 23rd. So 10 days, week and a half after Kansas City, we'll be in Charlotte for Local Comic Shop Day, I think is the name of that day. But I'm gonna think of it as Cartoonist Kayfabe Day in Charlotte.
Yeah, and we're gonna take our sweet old time getting down there, man. So we're gonna make a stop off in Richmond.
Yes.
And we're not gonna we don't have things in stone,
yes,
but we have plans for Richmond.
We do have plans. Richmond, a good comics town. And like I said, year 2, I'm hoping that we do get a chance to get our cameras out in the field and see some collections, some artists, some different stuff. some different backgrounds for everybody to see, and Richmond factors into those plans. Be one of our early guinea pigs in that quest.
I saw you put that gimbal to use, man, on your little Kayfabe Weekly.
I'm trying to learn how to use some of this stuff.
Yeah, like out at the Mandarakes and the Super Potato and all that, I have some tips. Not too boring to share here, but I've started to understand them a little bit more. I started to understand the settings a little bit, and I shot a lot of B-roll at the Mandarake store, and it is Mandarake. R-A-K-E is not rake in Japan, because that drink ain't called sake. You know what I'm saying? I got so much B-roll, and I'm gonna do another video, kind of like I did with the Super Potato, just because I just didn't know how to format the thing. There's so much humanity everywhere you fucking go that the people that you see in Japan who make the videos holding the thing and holding court and talking and all that, they're just assholes. Because I saw those people out there, and they're in the fucking way.
Yes.
You know? So I could not be that guy. But just walking through a spot, man, and not getting in anybody's way, and snapping a pic at a bookshelf full of nothing but Go-Go 13 volumes. 150 Go-Go 13 volumes. You do the production elsewhere.
Yes.
It's the only way I felt comfortable. And I really
needed HB to be like your security. You know, you could be walking around clearing a path.
Dude, we got to get out there together, man. Like that's sort of all there is to it. I need you out there to help create some focus and to see the things that I don't see. Like my last week out there with my freaking best friend, who I really did just call and was like, I don't care what you have going on. I don't care if you have vacation time, call in sick, but you have to be out here.
You're not outing him right now.
Huh? No, he's cool. He's cool. I think he did actually have some vacation time. And the dude came out, and it was the perfect time for the dude to come out, because I experienced things that I needed corroboration for. I experienced things that I needed fresh eyeballs for the shit that I forgot. I needed somebody else to be able to like, oh yeah, and remember this, remember that, because like catching some sushi with the guy who designed the characters in Ninja Scroll, my favorite anime of all time.
That just doesn't seem real.
The people I was connected to while I was out there were all ballers, man. Everybody was juiced in to everything. And it was like I could do whatever I want. Like the mistake was in almost like saying what I wanted to do and not saying like being more greedy about it or something. Because for instance, if you guys check out the Cartoonist Kayfabe Instagram, which we hit 10,000 there too. That's a milestone. I posted a lot of stuff on the Cartoonist Kayfabe Insta, and one of the things I pointed out, I posted, was at dinner with the vice president of Mandarake. He took me and the crew out for, it had to be 500 bones a piece, man. Wow. This dinner. Because it was like A5 Wagyu was on the menu. You know what I'm saying? I got the best steak in the world that you could have. And he asked me at lunch before that, like earlier in that day, where I had the previous best meal I've ever had with that guy. The name is very complicated. He just asks me, yeah, what Studio Ghibli movies are your favorite? And I name names. And that was a mistake, because at dinner, he had original art from those movies. Wow. Whole animated sequences.
Doesn't sound like a mistake.
Here's the mistake. I should have said I love all Studio Ghibli movies,
right?
Because the things he brought were just from the movies that I mentioned.
Wow.
And we were maybe going to go to his house, but dinner went really long. And the dinner, I got to explain this dinner. It was kind of like a yakitori, which is skewers, and you get brought out one skewer at a time. And it was the most bourgeois like dinner, like restaurant I've ever been to. Definitely Michelin star. And I've been to other restaurants out there. 2 other restaurants that were highlighted in various issues of Oishinbo, so they were fresh, because at the front they would have like a page from the manga, like with their with their store kind of highlighted.
Yeah, that's cool.
Kind of like how Ritter's in Oakland, I guess it's Oakland, maybe it's Friendship, has like the strip from Bill Griffith's Zippy, where Ritter's is in there. So it's like these stores, like they'll have their like Oishinbo page.
That's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
Love how connected to comics everything is.
Everything. And don't let me get off track, but I met so many people who said, yeah, I don't really like read manga. But then when you get them talking, they could name you all of their favorite Kinnikuman and like their favorite episodes, and it just is never ending. But anyhow, this dinner, you walk into the place, every cook greets you really loud. Like they just shout the greeting, and there's more than a dozen guys just shout blah, blah, blah. And like you sit down, and they bring you out one skewer at a time, and it'll be weird stuff like gizzards and spleens and like all this stuff that I'm like, I don't know about this, man. and like I ate it all, and it was all actually really good. Like one of the things was a brain, and it was like, how like the brain is like all those curly cues.
Right.
It was like an outstretched one of the curly cues of a brain, like on this skewer, and it was very clear. And my homeboy was like. He was like, now this dinner was so awesome, and thank you very much. But my boy was like, if they bring something out that looks like a dick and balls, I'm like, I just can't eat it, man. And I was like, I'm with you. I don't think I could either, because it really was like just like the weirdest like filler parts of like chickens and stuff.
That's amazing.
But then that's just the filler, because that Kobe beef is so expensive. You're just getting a little bit of that. So it's like, we need to fill you up with like, weird pieces of chickens and to start. And then that's when they start bringing that shit. But it was like maybe 40 skewers, and then it ends with like a turtle soup. And it made me think about in Coney Island, whenever they do that hot dog eating contest.
Yeah.
For many years, it was like the same skinny, twerpy little Japanese guy, Kobayashi, who won that thing. And there's all these big, brutish white dudes who look like construction workers and shit. And I experienced that because I was the biggest dude there. And my homeboy HB, another big dude. And these skinny dudes were mashing these yakitoris. And it's like, I was done 10 skewers before we finished. I could have been done, totally satisfied. And then they're like, no, here's such and such with caviar. And I'm just like, well, fuck it, I gotta eat that. Yeah, I gotta see what caviar tastes like. And it just kept coming. And then I was getting scared too, thinking that they must secretly keep like ordering things because we're eating it. It was almost like a weird catch-22 like perpetual motion machine.
You guys are both being polite.
Right. and it's like I'm really like busting at the seams, and I'm starting to get real nervous that they just keep ordering, and like there was never hesitation where he was like, it was like blah, blah, and they just kept ordering, but that was like the thing. And the way it even worked was the cooks and shit would kind of be standing off like watching, and they're checking out the social atmosphere of the table. So like they don't even spring into action until they detect like a slight lag in like conversation. So it's like they don't even get in the way of the conversation. So it's like when we were like chatting, blah, 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 and the Studio Ghibli shits start coming out, no food is happening, but then there'll be a cough or something that like just chills out them, and then boom, more food like right in front of your face.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Whenever I went, it was with a college group. And so the college students were very cautious in what they would eat.
Yeah.
And, like we didn't eat anything like what you're describing, but we would eat a lot of sushi. We'd go to sushi places and stuff like that. And so like I would just end up eating like 6 people's everything.
Yeah, that's great.
It was so awesome. I ate so much food when I was there, and it was all extraordinary. And man, the stuff that you're describing, I can't imagine those kids would have just been like running home, like swimming home or something if you pulled out a brain, a gizzard, any of those things. Because like we were eating stuff that you could find here, you know, it was just a very good quality. And many of them wouldn't try anything.
Right.
And it's like, man, you guys are missing out.
That is childish.
But it really benefited me.
Totally.
It made my trip better.
Yeah, I had no reservations, man. Like whatever you put in front of me, man, I'm gonna mash. Like I have no food allergies or anything like that, and they were always very sensitive about that. Like, oh, did you have something? I'm like, no, whatever you get, double it.
Yeah.
And I'll crush it. And that's the other thing. Like I forget that everybody isn't like us, man. And like I went to many places where there was not even an English menu.
Right.
And there are like Japanese have a way of like writing numbers that ain't like Roman characters, you know? So it's like there's no English anything. And I just like put up like Instagram posts of that where it's like, yeah, man, like when I hook up with my Japanese dudes, we go to places where I don't even know what's going, and I meant that as like excited, you know, like I tasted things that were so flavorful and great, and I would never have been able to go there.
Yeah.
Because also like there is definitely some shit that we would call racism that happened where it's like no gaijin, and they'll go like this. Yeah. They go like this, man, like pitch their nose. I'm like, oh, no gaijin. But when you go with the crew, they it's all good, and but people in the comments and shit would be like, oh, so does that like, you know, did you eat a fetus or like, and it's like, come on, man, like, what the fuck are you talking about? I guess that would probably be racist on their part of like, what, you think people are just like cannibalizing or some shit?
One thing that was really interesting to me in terms of food was all the model food. You know, there was like a lot of places would have I don't know what you would call that exactly, but it would be like a somebody would make a version of the food that they could display.
Yeah.
And I guess you could order that way too, where you could be like, well, I'll have that or something. But it was everywhere. There were like cases of that and intricate, beautiful, like immaculate models of food. And those were amazing. Somebody had told me about that before I went, and then you just see it everywhere once you're aware of it. And that's really incredible. But it makes me think of like all the manga about food where you see like the drawings that are just unbelievable. And like there are drawings of like grease and details and like different textures. And it's like, how does somebody draw this way? But you kind of understand it, you know, if it seems much more cared for and thought, you know, considered like visually. You know, not just the drawings, but like models and the preparation and stuff. Yeah. It just seems like a very different approach. And it kind of makes sense to me why you have all of this manga that's associated with food and his beautiful drawings of food and almost fetishizing, you know, the gorgeous food qualities.
I mean, it is the one place on earth that has the most Michelin star restaurants. So like the culture of like the food part of the culture is very exemplary. And I was in, you know, there's the big temple in Asakusa, the big red one with the two deities or whatever, the guardians or whatever. And in that region, there is a I have to bring that up. That this is very good. There is a museum of the plastic food, and there is also like workshops. Like these are artists that make this stuff, and they get commissioned.
Right.
And the restaurant will prepare the food, and then this guy like then has to like reverse engineer it and turn it to like a plastic sculpture.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then when you went in the museum, or like the little exhibition, the gallery space, they really like flex their muscles and stuff. So there will be tipped over bowls with like a hokusai wave of like ramen and shit.
That's amazing.
No photos. No photos. So much no photos.
Well, it's a different experience.
Yeah, which reminds me that I should shout out Rufus Dayglow, British cartoonist, punk rocker to the nines, man. And he was like, you know, I just like to break the rules a little bit. And like he would take photos of stuff, and I would be in these situations with my hosts. And I'm not gonna like be disrespectful in front of them. I'm gonna just like play that role, but it was in me to fucking want to take pictures and do all that. That's why I would have to go to places like the next day. It's like, okay, now I know how to get there. Now I have to go by myself and be ignorant gaijin a little bit and snap a couple pics because I just can't let it go. I can't let some of this stuff go. It's impossible. I need it. I need it, man. Like I need it so bad. And Rufus was real cool about just like, hey, you guys stand right there real quick. Snap, snap, snap. And then I would just be like, Rufus, can you send me those Kanikumen?
What was Rufus doing in Tokyo?
Just cool chilling, man. And it was so awesome because like I was like able to weave him into the fold. Shouts to Nate Cabrera, who's a cartoonist that worked at for Top Cow for a while. He hit me up and said, Takashi Okazaki, the creator of Afro Samurai, he's been wanting to meet you and stuff, man. Like, let me connect you with him. So it's like I had my original peeps that I connected with, and they use this online app that's like a instant messenger, like a DM thing called Line. And like right now I have like 30 Line people. Like the next time I go to Tokyo, I just put the blast out, yo, I'm gonna come to Tokyo, and I have 30 friends who are gonna like be able to like kick it and all that shit. So Nate hooked me up with Takashi. That was an independent thing apart from the people I was kicking it with. But then I weave Takashi into the fold. I weave Rufus into the fold. Now Takashi and Rufus are off doing shit. And it was just this like, I felt like we were like, it was like a Katamari Damacy ball of like the Stranger Things nerd boys.
Yes. Because
we would go on these adventures, like we'd be having to take trains and cabs and like all this shit to go places. And it was, and when I went like a fly on the wall and look at myself like from a distance, it's like this like little train of super enthusiastic nerd boys digging through comics and like, oh, look at this, and like, you know, look at this, like,
that's really
Kanikumen.
Cool.
And it was 28 days of that. Non-stop. My cardiovascular shit is done. Like I went out there and I had some titties. I don't have titties anymore, dude. I walked them off.
The ultimate workout plan.
I walked them off. Yeah, just go to Tokyo and you're gonna walk. Like for me, like my gait, 10,000 steps is 4 miles, and I would do over 20 every day, man. So 8 miles a day at least, and got in real good shape. There was, dude, like 5 days in, my ankle was blown up. And I got scared, like, fuck, I'm going to be here for like 23 more days with a bum ankle. And it was literally that gym teacher fucking walk it off thing. Because I was like, I'm going to destroy it. Like, I'm not stopping. I refuse to stop. I'm in Tokyo. I want to be here. And I walked it off. Like I went out hurting, and it just stretched out and was totally fine, like an hour or two later. But I woke up, it was like, it was like I felt a throb.
Scary. Yeah.
I felt a throb. I felt like maybe the tensility of my Achilles tendon was like at its limit, or like it was just like at its breaking point or something, because it was in the back, and then it just worked out.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That talking about hooking up with those different artists whenever you're there.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when I first started making comics and going to conventions and meeting other cartoonists. There was this thing of like, we've known each other 5 minutes, but because of, you know, we have so much in common, it's like we've known each other forever. It was such an instant bond.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain that if somebody hasn't experienced it, but it's so strong, I think, with cartoonists, and it's really cool that you can go somewhere and within, you know, just seeing these guys bumping into them pretty quickly hit it off and be like, all right,
immediately,
here's we go. Here, you know, what's next? What's on your list? Let's go do it.
And that's exactly what it was. Like everybody was grabbing halls. Just to be clear to the chat room, real fast, man. When I said no pictures, no photos, we were banned from taking photos. Dude was just like, I'd be taking photos constantly, and it's like, no, you won't, because there are big signs everywhere and like little security guards and shit who are like, no.
I remember there was a temple that we went through, and it was no photos, but it was also like no drawing even.
Yeah.
Some of those places are real meditative. You know, you just sit there for a long time, and it was like, you're just sitting here. Right. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's different, man. It's kind of cool to go through that where it's like your experience is in this moment.
Yes.
And it's not about saving it or sharing it or future or thinking of something else. It's like you're here that's where you're at.
Yeah.
It's kind of great.
Yeah, I mean, it has its place.
Yeah.
You know, like when I went to like the Tokyo Edo Museum, which I recommend to everybody who goes to Tokyo, for several reasons. It'll take you to this outskirt kind of part of town, and it's the same part of town where the sumo museum is.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so it's like Tokyo Edo's here, and you enter here, and you walk around Tokyo Edo, around the back, and there's the sumo museum. And that's also the place where the sumo practice, and you can watch them practice. The sumo museum was closed when I went there, unfortunately. Big bummer. But the practice spot was open. And what I gathered from that, from seeing the different sumo, is we think of them as fat guys, and it's this ridiculous, like, you remember the old wrestlers, like a Bruno Sammartino has that V shape. It's this ridiculous core strength workout.
Yeah.
That is muscle. Like we seen fat dudes with, like, you know, boobs on, but like it's this hunk of muscle in the core that looks like it could stop a bullet. You could shoot a man in his chest and it still ain't gonna touch his heart. There's all this muscle up front here. Crazy.
That's cool. You got to see that.
But
that was something people recommended. You know, any of the sumo stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any of it when I was there. Unfortunately.
Yeah, the real matches will be taking place like in a couple of weeks. Like you can figure that out, and if that's an important thing, you would have to schedule that because it happens several times a year. But it's tournaments, so it's like you'll be seeing an extended amount of stuff. There was like some kind of rugby championship or something that was being held in Tokyo, and you could see in the main part of town like just the pockets of the rugby players on their sightseeing quests, man, because it's like they all got the same shirts on, and they're all like super gigantic ass dudes, and just like
it's a rough sport.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool.
You went to the wrestling steakhouse.
I did, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Dude, that was the kayfabeest thing to do to get the fuck out of there. And when it's that little guy who runs that joint plays it up. It's one of those places. Ribera's.
Ribera's, yes.
And it's like the small sushi spots. Maybe 10 people could sit in there.
Okay.
So there'll be a line outside, and then it's just like when one dude leaves, like another one can come in. And thankfully, we were able to all get in there at the same time fairly quickly. And then pictures everywhere, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and then, you know, the wrestlers, Dory Funk, Hulk Hogan, like you see these photos. And the guy who's running the spot, he's got like the Ribera shirt on, and he's like a real showman. He's like the most showy dude I saw while I was out there. And he's preparing these things, man. When he gives them to you, it's like a big ass steak.
Yeah, it's not the Wagyu beef.
No. It's like the one that your mom makes, and it was almost cooked. Like you can expect that Bruiser Brody is not Anthony Bourdain.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying, man. So it's like this big fucking piece of dead cow, and like a little scoop of corn, but it's on this massive hot plate thing. And, you know, you can handle it with the wood. But when it's put in front of you, we were calling it a hardcore match because when he's preparing this stuff and it's on this cast iron metal, it's just the beads of oil are just hitting your body the entire time. And it's like, like just getting close to it. It's like, And I'm being such a bitch. We're all being bitches. Because there's everybody else is just like eating
dudes that make that are probably just like third-degree burns, like scarred up on their forearms.
But we're all just like but there's other people eating it and just like having no problem.
Like real wrestlers. Like, man, these tourists.
Yeah, there was some big ass dudes, but you had to do it.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you did. I was very happy to see some of those pictures cross the stream.
I was trying to do some criminal acts in a way, man, and my brother and I don't look too different, and it's the wrestlers that get the jacket.
Yes, yeah.
And my brother was just did some stuff with some lucha libre dudes. He was doing referee spots, and he was a heel referee, so he got to fucking beat up on he got to beat up on Psychosis, I believe.
Wow.
And Psychosis gave him a receipt, and fucking, and fucking jacked him up with his belt because my brother hit him a little too hard with the belt first.
That's good.
So I'm like, hey man, can I get the jacket? No jacket, man. No
Nice.
jacket for me. I think he knew that I wasn't my brother. It's the hair, man.
Well, you got to try.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad you made the effort. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I'm kind of glad you didn't get the jacket. You know, the jacket is that's a tradition, unlike any other. That and the Masters.
Yeah, that's true.
That's awesome, though. You know, like that's such a fun place to anybody that's interested in wrestling. Obviously, we know a lot of people that watch the show are. That's a fun place to read about, to check out online. There's some coverage of that, and it's such a legendary spot. You drop Bruiser Brody and Dory Funk. The stories that I've heard about it all go back to the 70s and those guys finding it back then. And so, like, it's just a steady history from that point up to now. That's really cool. Like that's a cool institution.
Yeah.
As a wrestling site, like I don't know another wrestling site that would be comparable to something like that. So
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
Yeah, totally. And after 27 days of top-notch grub in an accelerating fashion, where it just like starts great and every next day is just better and better, man. That was like get me acclimated to.
Welcome back.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I'll throw this out there while we're talking wrestling. New podcast I started listening to while you were away, Ed. Arn Anderson now has a podcast.
Oh, I would
Double
fuck
A,
with that.
The Enforcer. And early on, somebody sends in a question. Arn Anderson wrote his memoirs, his autobiography, without breaking kayfabe. It's amazing. It's one of the most entertaining wrestling books for that reason. And somebody asked him about it, and he gives a good answer. So it's what you would expect. He was a good talker back in the day. Certainly had a hell of a career. Very cool to it's my favorite currently is listening to him tell some old road stories. So
Yeah, he's such a good talker. Let's get the conversation. It's got to be early in the podcast where he's got to be talking about Sid.
hasn't come up yet.
And
Hasn't come up yet. He did talk about
We should fill in the comic book lovers out there about
Yes.
his interaction with Sid.
yeah.
Scissors are involved.
Arn Anderson and Sid Vicious, one of the most notorious wrestler fights I've ever heard of, stabbing each other with scissors on the road, I think in Europe, maybe.
Yeah, in a hotel. No fake
not
shit.
in a ring. This was two dudes pissed off and drunk and whatever, late hours, but knife fight with scissors.
Both leaking.
Bleeding.
Both
I think
leaking.
Van Vader and his tidy whities finding them in the hallway bloody. So
Yeah.
pretty legendary wrestling fight. Somebody did ask him about fights that he had seen, like real fights between wrestlers, and he talks about that a little bit, but the Sid Vicious story has not. That'll be its own episode at some point. Maybe. I don't know if he even will be willing to talk about it because I'm sure he gets asked about it a lot.
What else, man? The Kanikumen exhibit. Oh, hold up. A little bit more on that, on Rufus Dayglow. He works with 2000 AD and creates some new series and stuff, but he has such a storied career. Like, he was an animator on Space Jam.
Man, he looks young.
I said that exact same thing, and he's like, yeah, whatever, man. But I don't know. And then I discovered that, like, he was raised vegan, and I'm like, ooh, there must be something to that.
Interesting.
There must be something to that. But yeah, like I said the same shit, and because I think he said that, like, his son likes my comic, and I'm like, oh yeah, how old is he? And he said something like 20, and I'm like, what? How's
Yeah, that
that
doesn't
possible?
make sense with any of those pictures.
Yeah. No, such a young looking dude. But he also got into animation very young. He was a teenager. He gave me some scoops on Deadline and stuff, dude. He gave me some amazing scoops on, like, things that just, like, haven't seen the light of day. Now we know that there was the Tundra UK office.
Yes.
Run
Legendary.
Run by, I believe, Dave Elliott. Was that the name of the guy?
Dave Elliott's a player there. I don't know if that's who was running it, but sure.
He was. There is about, I believe, 40 to 50. Now, one of the problems with Tundra is that Kevin Eastman opened up the purse and gave dudes very big advances.
By the way, year 2 of Cartoonist Kayfabe, we're going to do some diving into Tundra because there are some great resources out there, like a 50-page interview with Kevin Eastman about Tundra. So we'll get deeper into Tundra for sure.
So we know that, like, about the advances. One of the people who got these advances, your boy Jamie Hewlett, there is about 50 pages of a comic called something like The Man with 1,000 Brains. That's not the Steve Martin thing, right?
No, what was his? The Man with Two Brains, I think.
Okay.
This guy's way smarter than Steve Martin.
There is an unpublished comic that Jamie Hewlett put together called The Man with 1,000 Brains, something like that. And Rufus is telling me about that stuff, man. He has like Xeroxes or some shit, and it's like, yo, like, let me just see them. We won't put them out there, but like, I gotta see
we won't
that.
Put those out there.
So that was like an interesting, because like Hewlett's name never comes up in the conversations about Tundra as far as I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, so it begs the question, and it makes very good sense. Like, we see the Tundra works that are out there, and knowing that cartoonists kind of like jacked Eastman, I associate the names I know with Tundra to be the people doing the jacking. But no, their books are out there.
Right.
It's a million names that just ain't out there, who were the people that took the money and kind of ran in a way.
Yeah.
And the way Rufus described the comics was, it was going to be like Jimmy Hewlett was going to like do the complete package. So he's kind of like plotting it and setting it up, but there was no dialogue or anything like that. That was going to be done maybe on vellum or something. But then he like forgot like how all the stuff. So the tank girl dude, like Alan, whatever the fuck, was going to be the guy to try to like make sense of, but it just didn't work out. So like those pages exist. We got to see those shits, man.
Wow, man, I have not heard anything about that. Not a peep. I can't think of ever seeing like a page where you're like, what is this from?
Yeah,
man, what a gem.
I got another one.
So we need a trip to the UK is what we're looking for.
Yeah, and
with some backstage access to people like Jamie Hewlett's flat files.
Yeah, totally. Like Rufus is the man because he was animator on Gorilla's videos.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that makes sense. People that aren't familiar, I don't know if we said this, but I first knew of him from doing a lot of Tank Girl work. Right.
Let me just step over here real quick and show you this piece that Rufus like whipped up in a capsule hotel for me.
I think I saw a picture of this thing too.
Oh no, this is a piece of Ken Landgraf art.
What?
Yeah. I hope we're not frozen.
I freeze even if we're not. We may not be frozen, but be pausing there as if you were commanding them.
Let me just run to the camera real quick and try to get things working.
Yeah, it says interruption.
Yeah.
Audio's still good, video is frozen.
Yeah,
well, I will keep talking Rufus Dayglow then. Yeah. Like I said, the first time that he came across my radar is from Tank Girl. So whenever they continued producing new Tank Girl, that's what I knew. You know, that's where I started to see his name. And I don't know how much Tank Girl stuff he's done. There's so many of those mini-series and one-shots and things that I just haven't, I haven't kept up with all of them. They kind of blur together a little bit. But it's cool that he worked closely with Hewlett. Like I would want to talk to him about that. It's probably the wrong thing to do. But, Hewlett, anybody that follows my work knows I'm a big fan, so. Oh yeah, Counterfeit Girl with Peter Milligan. I just got a copy of that and I haven't read it yet. So he's definitely done a lot of comics, more than Tank Girl. It's shocking to me that he's the age that you say he is, Ed, because those photographs did not look like that. I thought it was some young, talented cartoonist.
We're going to do a part 2.
Okay.
So announce that if I'm too far from the mic.
Okay, so guys, we're going to restart this. We're going to do a part 2 here due to technical issues. So just pop back in. We're going to wrap this up right now and we'll be back in a minute.